When we start in the Middle East, where the war there is driving oil prices today amid contradictory messaging from the US and Iran about efforts to end the conflict. On Wednesday, benchmark Brent crude sank below $100 a barrel for the first time in almost 2 weeks after claims by President Trump that talks are underway and reports that Washington has sent a ceasefire proposal to Iran. But Iran's foreign minister has poured cold water on that, appearing on state TV to say there have been no talks and they have no intention of negotiating. Abbas Araghchi also reiterated Iran's authority over the Strait of Hormuz, but said it was closed only to the country's enemies. Well, this image that we're going to bring you there shows the Strait of Hormuz, what it was this time last year, compared to yesterday, with more than 100 vessels transiting each day. And compare that with what it looked like yesterday, as you can see, quite a lot of movement and almost none. Well, despite reports of some ships connected to China and India being allowed through, the strait remains all but closed, stranding hundreds of ships and squeezing global supplies of oil, gas, vital chemicals and fertilizer. Well, last night, President Trump addressed a Republican fundraising dinner where he repeated his claims that the Iranians are negotiating.
We're winning so big, nobody's ever seen anything like we're doing in the Middle East with Iran. And they are negotiating, by the way, and they want to make a deal so badly, but they're afraid to say it because they figure they'll be killed by their own people. They're also afraid they'll be killed by us.
Let's hear now from Amina Bakr, head of Middle East Energy and OPEC Plus research at Kepler, a market intelligence firm. Amina, let's start with this strait squeeze. People really wondering about the price of oil now and if this squeeze continues for a few weeks.
Well, I think the squeeze is going to continue as long as the war is active, and there are still no signs that we are going to get a ceasefire. In fact, negotiations, as you rightfully said, they're not leading anywhere. It doesn't seem like Iran is ready to negotiate, and with Hormuz still, we have limited flows through there. We do expect oil prices to slide upwards from here.
Yeah, and I guess people worried about that price sliding perhaps exponentially at some point. There's also global supply chains impacted. And if we pick one thing, helium, a lot of which comes from Qatar, it's not just for those balloons that we blow up. It's for making chip making. It's for medical imagery, space technologies. And this is being hit hard, isn't it?
It is. Qatar produces 30% of the helium worldwide. And yeah, helium has many industrial uses and for MRI machines, for example, in the healthcare sector. But across supply chains, we are going to see an impact worldwide. And the most vulnerable countries here are developing nations. And we've already seen a lot of countries in Asia, but also in Africa, start to cut down in terms of their working days. They're asking people to work from home. They are cutting street lights. So this really impacts the whole world, and it's not just a regional war, it's a war on the economy.
Yeah, and every moment we're hearing new news. Malaysia's Prime Minister now saying that Iran is letting its oil tankers through. I want to show viewers a picture of Karg Island now. It's an 8 square mile island there in a crucial part just before the Strait of Hormuz. It's actually Iran's oil export hub. Most of its oil is loaded onto tankers there. Amina, what if that is fought over by US Marines? What will that do for the price of oil?
Well, this is the kind of rumored target at the moment. And we've seen from the Iranian side, they said, we are aware that the enemy might be targeting our islands. So Karg Island, I mean, 90% of their loadings of crude oil happens through Karg Island. It is a strategic island in that sense. But at the same time, there are other outlets for Iran to export its oil. For example, there's the Jask terminal, and they do have also oil on water, which the US removed sanctions of. So outside of the Persian Gulf, they have around 154 million barrels that they could still export. But Karg is a strategic target at this point, and it would hurt Iranian exports.
And I mean, if we went further and that island was occupied, what would that mean for this conflict and the associated costs and trade repercussions?
Well, it's a major, major escalation, and already, I mean, there have been threats from the Iranians saying if Karg is attacked, or I mean, in the case where you're saying taken over, there will be a retaliation against Gulf states. And till this day, I can tell you, being here in Dubai, the attacks continue on Gulf states, and not just on energy infrastructure, on civilian targets, on cities. This would represent a major escalation in the conflict.
Beyond where we are today. Wow. Amina Bakr, head of Middle East Energy and OPEC Plus research at Kepler. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.